I know we've got like 20 seconds left until we need to start, but one of the worst things in the world is when you're listening to the song and then the beat drops and you think the song's going to repeat and then it stops and you're like, man, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I just got a sports injury or something. I feel like my life is over. That's why these Spotify playlists sometimes just don't, I don't know, I don't trust them. Like I need to curate my own music. I don't think anybody else is with me on that.
You need to make your own. Are we all on right now?
No,
Can
you guys
anybody
are
hear
all
us?
in. You can talk.
Oh.
Feel free to yell at me if you need to.
No, we don't need to yell at you. I do hate it whenever I think music is going to happen and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
I also dislike that. So
I'm glad we're on the same
alone.
page there.
Yes.
Hey everybody,
like,
welcome.
This is music and then it's not music. It's terrible.
Yes. Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. I am stoked to be here with you. I'm Chino Mage, and this is Lux, and happy Friday. Over there, oops, I'm mirrored again. Over there is our good friend Mark, a.k.a. The Lift, a.k.a. Pastor Mark. Pastor Mark, how you doing today, man?
Good, dude. Welcome in, Baggy Man. Welcome in, Doc. Anybody else who's coming and hanging out with us is jumping in at this point. Welcome to the Roundtable. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. And make sure to share this with any timelines that you're on if you want to go tweet about it and tell everyone how much fun you're having. That would be fantastic. We want to show the love just a little bit. Down there is our good friend from his own Florida room, Nav. Navalis, how you doing today?
I am doing good. Busy, but good. I'm glad to be here. I look forward to this, hanging out with you guys and hanging with everyone in chat. So I'm ready.
That's we're ready as well. And just below me with the amazing, just hit my microphone there, with the amazing blue LED background, Mr. Templar 10. How are you, Templar?
Doing well, Chino. Good to be here. Excited to talk some Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah. We've already gotten some slack about that in the chat. So when we get to the Moon Knight thing, we're not allowed to give any spoilers. So if you are in the chat, be warned, there will be no spoilers. There will only be love and possibly hatred from Templar, who has already prepped us with the idea that he has a lot to share about this television show. So with all that, what we typically like to do here in the Roundtable, we like to just hang out with the community just for a little bit and talk games, talk things we're playing, talk some more fun stuff, and then kind of dive a little bit deeper into a topic that's been near and dear to us and near and dear to the community. Begaman says, did you hear Holden's song that dropped today? It's really good. Yes, I did. I was bumping it in the car with my kids a little bit earlier on the way to school. It was dope.
I have to go listen to it.
Yeah, it's.
I have to listen to it after this.
It's in the Discord. By the way, if you want to be part of an amazing Discord family, a church online, and all the love and support that you want, jump into our Discord. The link is just below us in the panels. I don't ever know what the panels.
It's also in the chat.
Yeah,
it's also in the chat.
Yeah,
there is panels, but it's also in the chat. The panels might not even work.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hillian, good to see you as well. Okay,
first time in chat is Hillian.
Wow, this first time, Hillian. Thanks for being here.
Part of the community, but the first time live for one of our live streams. So welcome, dude. Glad to have you.
Welcome. We appreciate you being here. Let's go around the horn here. We're going to start with Templar. Templar, what have you been playing this week since last time we met?
I've been jumping around to a few different things. Excuse me. Ever since I got Game Pass, I've been trying out a few different games on there, just seeing what I might be interested in. I finished Gears 4, and then I started playing the Wolfenstein games, New Order and New Colossus.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit into the New Colossus. I'm having some fun with it.
Is New Colossus where is that in the series? Is that the 1960 70 something?
Yeah, that's the first one of the remake kind of remake they did. So that came out in 2015, 2014.
New Order came out in 2014. That was the first one of the remake, and then New Colossus, I think, was 2016 or 2017, and it's the sequel.
Okay.
And it's based in the U.S., but yeah, it's 67, late 60s. Sort of alternate timeline. What if, sort of, I guess, what's the show? Man in the High Castle-esque? As if Germany had won World War II. you're sort of playing as the Resistance, so it's been pretty fun. FPS. I mean, people probably know the old Wolfenstein games, but I've enjoyed the reboot. And then beyond that, I have started playing Hearts of Iron 4 again.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Which is for those who don't know, it's a World War II sort of strategy game where you can control a nation, you build troops, build up your economy, turn-based, or sorry, not turn-based, real-time strategy game. So it's a lot of fun. So that's primarily what I'm playing.
I didn't know you were into those, man.
I played that one.
You don't play like Crusader Kings or Europa or anything?
I tried Europa very briefly for about 20 minutes, and I was just nope. And then I moved on with my life.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's too much.
You need to have like a doctorate. Yeah.
I'd have to spend a week watching YouTube videos just to figure out how to do anything in that game, and I'm good.
That's awesome. Like that's the whole point.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it
dude.
awesome?
Yeah. I mean, you get to lose yourself. It's like an Eminem song. Like you get to lose yourself in the Europa.
I'm frustrated enough with my real life. I don't need additional frustration from the games I play, so I'm good. More
Fair
power
enough.
to you, Gino. But
Fair
that's
enough.
what I've been playing.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. Pastor Mark, what have you been playing?
I just love that the second thing Hillian has said is that's what Templar looks like. Not interesting.
I didn't want to say anything.
I was about to bring that up. So.
Am I getting called out like this? Yeah,
Oh, yeah, totally.
Really?
Yeah.
This is how I'm getting. I'm getting called out.
That's so good.
Like this.
I'm not sure. It could be that you look good. It could be that you don't. I'm not, or just surprising. You know, like your face is more monotone than your voice or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. But,
so good.
I got a voice and a face for radio. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my
That's
goodness.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Ilya just shows up and just roasts me right out the gate. All right, man. I see you.
Glad to hang out with you. Yeah.
AM, maybe an AM station he could be on. Yeah, they could. Preeminence, good to see you as well. Sheep's good to see you. Okay, so wait, was I next? Who was next?
Yeah, you're next. Let's go.
Am I next?
Go ahead, Mark. You're taking this. Go.
Yeah, I had no time to play anything new in the last 2 weeks for the most part. I did log back on Legends of Runeterra this past week, a free-to-play card game by I streamed it for a little bit. Free-to-play card game by Riot, and we had a great time streaming it. But one game that I'm going to be checking out tonight or tomorrow is Rainbow Six Extraction, which is a PvE version of Rainbow Six Siege where you're trying to like stop a zombie horde of some type. So right now, if you buy it, you can send codes out to like 2 other people who can play it for 14 days for free. So Sheebs, who's in the chat, bought it, sent me a code, I downloaded it. He's got to send me the code. And I'm going to be checking that out with him, which I'm not an FPS player except for Destiny 2. I really do enjoy Destiny 2 because I like PvE FPS because I'm just hot trash, and it turns out the computer's worse than me most of the time, which enables me to feel okay at playing FPSs. So I'm going to be playing that a little bit. Bougie, welcome in as well. Good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely. Sheeb's jumping in the chat as well. So Extraction, are you into like the strategy aspect of it, or you just want to play like a million different characters and then do stuff, blow some stuff up?
I will answer. I have no idea. I just don't know. I'm not necessarily into I've never played Siege because it's been so. Everyone says it's just a really overwhelming one to get into, and so I've never played Siege before. So but I'm interested in checking some stuff out. So right now you're having to do double duty where you're leading conversation and also reshaping Templar screen so that we have him in shot. Navalis, guys, Siege is amazing. Navalis has had some internet issues, so like they lost power. He may have just lost power again.
It's okay. We're gonna go to what I'm playing. And hopefully his internet restores, and if not, I don't have to do any resizing for a little bit. So I have also had about this much time. And we'll talk about super auto pets in the chat, like Templar just put in there. I have played literally about 15 minutes of Earthbound, the old Super Nintendo game, on my Switch. My brother I work with him, and he was telling me that, oh yeah, man, I picked up Earthbound. I was like, you know what? That game's kind of dope. I'm going to play that again. And this is one of my favorite all-time games. That and like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI are like 3 of my top 10 favorite games. And I'm just remembering like, oh yeah, how fun it is to hit aliens with a baseball bat in 16-bit. So I've been playing that. And then I have spent a lot of time in school assembly. Okay, so I don't know how many parents are out there. This is going to be a little tip for all the parents out there. Get an addictive game on your iPhone. Sit as far in the back as possible of every school assembly that you can possibly be in. And then put your phone on your lap just a little bit and then play Super Auto Pets. That's how I've gotten through the last 4 days. We've had like 2-hour school assemblies every single night. And it's just been, I've been reading books. I've been on Reddit and I've been playing Super Auto Pets. And I hate it because I cannot win a freaking game in Super Auto Pets. I have not gotten past 5 wins in that entire thing at all.
Oh, feels bad, bro.
I don't know how these freaking people do it. I think I have a buff team. I get to like turn 11 and then I'm done. So I was gonna serve Nav up for this, but I guess let's talk real quick about Super Auto Pets because
I've been playing this week. There's a huge update.
No, I know.
It's worth conversation.
Yeah. So first of all, give me your hot strats. Like, how are you winning?
Okay, so first off, if you played before, the way that you play and try to win with the original one is you hard roll otters and fish in the beginning, and then you wait to combine your stuff to the best of your ability until tier 3 pets get released. Because when tier 3 pets get released and you upgrade a pet to a tier 2, it will give you a level 4 pet to buy. And the only thing that you're looking for is buffalo and penguin. And then you drop buffaloes and penguin onto your team, and they keep growing and buffing until you get 50/50s. And if you get lucky and hit them right as turn 3, right as level 3 pets come out, or right as tier 4 pets come out, then you can usually level up. But like all out, I'll take a couple of losses in the first couple of rounds just to roll for nothing but otters and fish. The new one is different. So now they released 2 new packs of animals, and they have a weekly rotation that comes in. So it completely changes up the way you play the game. I have 2 wins this week under me, and I got both of them off of the back of dragonfly and jellyfish, which are also buffing mechanics. Before that, the week before was lynx. I was just using lynx and parrot to like nuke the entire opponent's board before we could get in. Yeah, but I've been loving it. I also love how many people passionately hate it.
Yes. I'm watching the chat. Like Saint Bear is flaming us right now. Welcome to the stream. Bougie, welcome to the stream as well. You guys can go jump off a cliff because for whatever reason, I can't win a freaking game, and yet I just love watching the numbers go higher, and I love watching cartoon animals just beat each other up in a very bad fashion. I can't stand how much I love it.
Templar can stand it. When are we going to get you to really start actually playing the game is the question.
Really start actually playing? I mean, that suggests I've played it in any capacity so far, which don't slander me like that, Mark. So, nah, I'm good, man. Like, I'm good. It's okay. I got Game Pass. I got Steam. I got enough other games I can try. I can dust off the PS5, which has been sitting doing nothing for like months at this point.
Hold on, I gotta resize some.
I got plenty of stuff to play, so it's all good.
I gotta resize some windows.
Y'all have fun. Really, I wish you all the best with your life decisions. And yeah,
you're a life decision.
Well, I've been digging it. You know, I know that there's a lot of people who haven't been able to get wins, and it's frustrating. Hillian, I was talking to the other night. He was telling me about how terrible it is, and I know Greg downloaded it, played it for like 2 weeks, joined the Discord, looked at all the strats, watched YouTube, like he learned everything he could and could never get a win, and then just deleted it. So Nav, you're back. We want to hear about your experience with Super Auto Pets, man.
Yes, I'm sorry because I walked outside because I was figuring like it's really windy here, so I'm like checking the lines running from our house. I'm like, did something fall on it? And then my wife, she's listening to this right now, and she's like, they're talking about Super Auto Pets, and I'm like, drats. I'm like, I was like, of course, okay. So I just hooked up to my hotspot on my phone, and so I'm like, this is a worthy cause, and
it absolutely
my
is.
internet, I have to figure this out. So, so Super Auto Pets, it's good. It's really good. Okay.
Thank you. Well, that's great analysis there. Great analysis.
We're done.
That's good.
Yeah, we're done. That's all I'm going to say. No,
Okay,
seriously.
moving on. So what's up next, guys?
Go for it, Nav.
I do like auto battlers and everything. And at first, I downloaded this in a restaurant, and because I was like, I got to start playing this now because I told him I would. And I had my niece. She was with me, so I was like, you can play this game with me. So we're just picking animals. Like, I have no clue what I'm doing, and she likes it because it looks cute, and I'm just like, oh, look, this is pretty cool. But anyway, so I started getting into this, and I'm looking at different stats. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, this works with this, and I started looking. It's like bad when you're like brushing your teeth and you're on YouTube looking at a strategy, and that's
not bad. That's
night.
good.
Like,
that's
okay,
don't let your conscience talk to you. That's good.
And so anyway, but then I discovered there's custom packs where you can actually pick like for your like 10 animals and stuff. I'm like, wait a second, this like adds a whole new depth right here, and it's good. I like it. It's like I'm just trying to like a strategy with the bluefish, like building, like, I know this sounds stupid, guys, but like when you start talking about, like, yeah, you need to pick the bluefish and then combine them, and then you get like level up and stuff, and then you get the penguin where like if you're level 2 or level 3, starts leveling everything up. And then so I was doing like the bluefish strategy with the swan to get more rolls. It's like there's all this stuff. There's like the horse with the crickets to like basically almost like a token strategy. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, it is.
And then I started thinking like, imagine if Game Freak would have done this with Pokemon.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
all I have to say. And I'm playing this. I'm like, what if there was, how how much money they would make if this was, because you have a team of 6 and just instead of 5. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And like, anyway, that was my thought last night. I'm like, if
Hold on.
Pokemon gets hold of this.
Pokemon Auto Battler. There's got to be one.
I don't think they've actually made a Pokemon Auto Battler yet. I don't think one exists. It would be really good though. I think a Pokemon Auto Battler needs to exist. I mean, I'm not going to get permission to make it, and I don't know how to make Auto Battlers.
Pokemon
but
they have?
Helene says it's a terrible
It's
idea,
also-
but I think a Pokemon Auto Battler is a really good idea.
So terrible. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
there's like 800 different
Just think
Pokemon.
about it.
I think it's a really great idea.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
already
if you
have
s-
items.
If you slap
already-
the Pokemon name on anything, people will buy it. So I mean, it's not a bad business decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's set up, ready to go.
Yeah,
It is.
I'm in. I
So,
think we need
anyway.
to lobby Game Freak for the license. I can start it. If we have any fine entrepreneurs out there who want to St. Bear says Digimon Auto Battler would be better. I think you are wrong. Digimon is a false prophet.
You're either a Digimon or a Pokemon person, right?
But just
And
think about
in the 90s, the early 2000s, I think I was more Digimon than Pokemon, but I changed my ways in 2000 probably.
You chose the light, Mike or
So,
Mark.
yeah,
and
but
I'm
anyway,
proud of you.
It's good.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's good.
All right.
Their strategy. I'm working on like an otter strategy. So I'm done. I'm like, just go play it.
Well, no. The otter strategy. Okay. I've been looking at tier lists. Nav, you might have missed this. I still haven't won a game yet, and I've been playing for a month and a half, and I have not won like a full 10. And so I've been looking at strats online. I've been looking at tier lists, and like every time I look at a tier list, I do worse, and then I go back to like my original strategy, and I'll win 5, and that's it. And so I don't know. I was consulting Mark the Guru for all of his things. So everybody in chat, if you need any hot super auto pet, maybe we should start something in the Discord. And Mark, you could like just give us like a 15-minute crash course in how to play this game, like a TED Talk. You could practice TED Talk with that right there. Are you up for that?
Veto.
Templar is the Discord admin. He can just go in and delete everything that I post. So
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll
Okay.
die on this hill. That's fine. If it gets me banned, that's okay. This is the hill I'll die on.
I mean, can the admin ban himself? Is that?
No, but Mark could ban me.
Yeah,
but...
that's true. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so I want to move into something that we actually put into the Discord a couple of days ago. We want to bring, part of the roundtable is we want to hang out with you, the community, and we want to bring a little bit of community flavor into this. And so we put up a poll to kind of ask you all what a topic should be that we talk about today. And Templar, what were the ones we put in there that we asked people to vote on? It's top 5, something, 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 and then the thing we landed on.
Sure. So the options were top 5 games that have held up over time, top 5 favorite nerd items that we own, top 5 free-to-play games, top 5 guilty pleasure movies, top 5 worst comic book movie characters, or worst comic book characters, excuse me, and top 5 best comic book TV series. And the winner ended up being top 5 free-to-play games. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
So buckle up. We're going to talk about our top 5. And this is our own subjective, not objective, subjective top 5 lists. If you have a top 5 list, we would love that you put it in the doodly-doo and let us see your top 5 list. Before we go there, Booge wants me to play Monster Hunter, and I'm almost there. I'm going to, and then Beggy says, Chino, give in, give up, tape up woodworking or something. Bro, I do woodworking. I built our dining room table. I build all sorts of stuff, but Super Auto Pets is way more fun than sweating in the garage for hours on end. So there you go. We're going to start actually with Mark. Mark, give me from 5 to 1. I don't have a flourish. I should have some sound effects and I don't have them. Give me from 5 to 1, if you can, your top 5 free-to-play games.
Hey, dude, I was hoping to collect some stuff from other people.
Templar, we're going to start with you. We're going to go 5 to 1 on your free-to-play games, starting with number 5.
Okay, sure. So this is a bit of a tough one for me because I don't play a lot of free-to-play games, and pretty much all of the free-to-play games I do play are from one company, which isn't a particularly interesting list overall. So I'll cheat it a bit. And I'll say my number 5 is TFT.
Okay.
So most of these are going to be Riot games. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sure people have encyclopedic knowledge. Some people in the chat have encyclopedic knowledge of all these amazing free-to-play games. But I just don't. There's not that many free-to-play games I play or have played that I can recall. So number 5, I'm going to say is TFT. Number 4, I'm going to say is Valorant.
Okay.
It's not really my type of game. It's fun. It looks slick. I like the animations. I like the abilities. I'm just terrible at it. Just absolutely awful. I can't do anything in that game. But there's a lot of things I appreciate about it. Number 3 would be StarCraft, which we were talking about a bit before the show started, that StarCraft 1 and I guess 2, which I didn't know, are now free-to-play games, so you can get them for free. I was never a huge StarCraft person, but I enjoyed it, and I understand the sort of impact of StarCraft on the gaming community, certainly the esports community. And I never played StarCraft much because I had a couple buddies who were very, very competitive, like going to tournaments level of competitive. So if I was going to play it, I had to play against them. It was really kind of the only option because I didn't play it online. And so I just avoided it for that reason. Number 2 would be Legends of Runeterra. Because as much as I don't really play on the ladder much, I have been enjoying the PvE. I have a lot of fun with it. I have a really good time with it. I still log in every day to do my daily quests. I've been really enjoying the Lab of Legends, and I'm excited to see what they're releasing some changes with that soon. So I'm excited to see the new direction they sort of go with that. And then number 1 for me would be League of Legends. So like I said, it's pretty much all Riot stuff. That's what I play for free to play. And we had a bit of a discussion earlier about what really constitutes free to play. I've certainly dumped more money than I would probably like to admit into League of Legends. So it certainly has not been a free to play experience for me. But in theory, I could have played it. I could have played it for free. I have just chosen not to, against all reason and common sense. And even though I don't play it as much as I used to, I played it since 2013. I know it has its issues with its community. I think it's become almost a meme of the League of Legends community, that people basically use it beyond what it even really is. I mean, I've met some of my best friends playing League. I've had some good relationships on it. And when you're playing with friends, I think it's a really fun experience. I mean, there's a reason it's been around and been as popular as it has been for over a decade at this point. So, I know people have strong feelings about it, but I've put more time into League than I've put into any other game ever, and it's not even remotely close. Between that and whatever the second most would be. So it would have to be League. And then for an honorable mention, just because I don't really play it much anymore, I'll say is Apex Legends. Because I played it a lot when it came out, and I still really enjoy it. I'm not really on the Battle Royale train really anymore. But when I was, and when Apex first came out, I really grinded it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So shout out to that. But yes, that's my list, for better or for worse.
I will. We're going to ask a question here, and you can feel free to tell me to buzz off if you want. But over or under $200 that you've spent on League lifetime?
200?
Yeah.
I mean, over. What? What kind of question is that? I mean, if you wanted to say over under 1,000, then it gets be an interesting question.
All right, I was trying to be conservative here.
No. I made some very poor financial decisions when it came to League. I haven't put money into it for a long time, so I'll say that.
You sound like you're talking about the stock market or crypto or something.
Yeah, you would spend more than $200 just on collecting the Lux skins in that game, let alone any of the other things.
I probably have. I've spent more than $200 probably in a week or two at various points in time on League. So
I don't know how to feel about this. Okay, we're gonna move on. Nav, from 5 to 1, give me your top 5 free-to-play games.
All right, I would say number 5 coming in would be Halo Infinite.
Okay,
the multiplayer's free.
Yes.
I have friends. I'm about to get back into season 2. But when it first launched, I was playing that a lot with friends, and it was nice because it was free. It was like, hey, just download it, whether you're on your computer or whatever, you can play. And so that was really cool. Get a bunch of people that were that played Halo in the past were like, well, I'm going to download it, it's free. So that was really cool, and we had a lot of fun. And I think the multiplayer, the mechanics of that's really. So if you like shooters, Halo, it's going to improve over time. It's still kind of bare bones. I'll admit that. There needs to be Blood Gulch and some other
Sidewinder
maps that need to be in there, and Sidewinder. And what was the one? There was one.
Hang 'em High.
It starts with a Z.
Oh,
it starts with a Z.
Zanzibar.
Zanzibar. That's it. Yes, I was like, that. Just add those, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, I would go. I didn't know StarCraft was free, so I'm gonna add StarCraft. That's kind of like my 5th one. I spent a lot of time on StarCraft 1 and 2. If you like strategy games, sci-fi, play it. Okay, it's fun.
Yep.
It's really good. They need to make Warcraft 3 free to play. Also, they should make that one. I hope they do. Warcraft 3 was really good too. So I like strategy games. Those are fun to play. So there we go. Number 3, Fortnite. And so I played a lot of Fortnite in my day. And I will still play it now. When it first came out, I was playing with my brothers all the time, in a squad of 4. I was playing with my brother, my brother-in-law, and a friend of ours. And we would just get together and we would just have a lot of fun just playing it. So lots of good memories. So just another shooter. Okay, the last 2. Battlegrounds and Hearthstone. Okay, it's not the Hearthstone game, but if you like an auto battler, once you get through the tutorial, because they'll try and get you into the standard Hearthstone mode. Once you get through that, go to Battlegrounds. It should be its own separate client, and it's not. It really should be. It's a separate game from there. It's not Hearthstone. It's just has Hearthstone characters or Warcraft characters per se. And it's Battleground. It's an auto battler, very similar to Super Auto Pets, but different. And it's just fun to play. Great animations, great graphics, and it's free. You don't have to buy anything unless you want to buy cosmetics. And so you get all the stuff. You don't have to do anything. It's just everything else is cosmetics. So you can jump right in and play. And it's pretty simple to learn, cool combos, all that stuff. And then number 1 right now, Super Auto Pets.
Yep.
What can I say?
Yep. Let's go.
I am on it. I'm on the super auto pets train. Okay, like I am just sitting there like thinking like, okay,
Join the
I'm watching a
bandwagon.
TV show and I'm just like mindlessly playing like super auto pets.
Not mindlessly. Think about it. You're doing math. Like, what can be better than doing math?
Nothing.
Okay, that's
math is the funnest.
This is your pitch? That's your pitch. You have so little to say about this game.
There is so little to the game.
So little to say.
It's the same.
You have to pitch it as math is fun.
It's the same thing as Candy Crush. Like, why did...
You're making my argument for me.
Why was...
Like, I don't even need to say anything anymore.
Kevlar, it's like a strategy game, but it's with cute animals. It's like almost like a real-time strategy.
Okay.
I hate it.
You know what I've always thought when I'm playing Total War? You know what I've always thought? I wish there was more math in this game. I wish I had to get a calculator out for this. That's what I always think.
You're gathering resources and you're building and everything else, and you have to think about. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mark,
there's no hope.
Walk me through. Mark, walk me through 5-1. What do you got?
Okay, number 5, Super Auto Pets for me.
Okay.
It is number 5, Super Auto Pets. It's probably not long term. I'll say this: once you figure it out and you kind of break it, then it becomes boring. So then it's just kind of an RNG fest. There's more RNG in it than it feels like at first.
Great.
So
there's
Super Auto Pets. There's an update
coming out in June. In June, there's another one. Okay.
Another one.
Just
a big update came out this last week. That's quite good.
Okay.
So. Super Auto Pets is my number 5, and then honestly my numbers like 4, 3, 2, 1 are kind of like a mix. So I think that Legends of Runeterra is probably the best digital card game out. It's like Riot makes games that are really great and no fun, and Runeterra really encompasses that great. Like it's the best card game digitally on the market. It's the most free to play card game by far. And it's not any fun. So Legends of Runeterra for card games, and I podcast about it, so I can feel that. And then I would say my number 3 is Destiny 2. It's technically not free to play. Well, it is free to play. It is technically free to play. There's a lot of stuff you don't get access to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can download it and you can play all the vanilla content. And honestly, there's hours and hours and hours of vanilla content. And it's tremendously fun. And so, like, you could play a lot of content completely free with Destiny 2, and it's a gorgeous game. Like, it's absolutely beautiful, and the gunplay in it is really the thing that keeps bringing you back. And in my opinion, honestly, that's the best part of the game. It's super grindy late game and isn't as fun late game unless you really adore it. My number 4, I didn't make sure it was free to play, and it is very much like Destiny. You'll get access to the vanilla game. Is Guild Wars 2 is free to play right now, and Guild Wars 2 is an excellent MMO.
Yes.
And once again, like those free to play games, like there's a ton in them. There's a tremendous amount in them. I'm gonna give you 6. Pokemon Unite is a really great MOBA. I know St. Bear said you're sleeping on it. I'm not sleeping on it. I play it. One of the cool things about Unite is you can play it on your Switch, but you can also play it on your phone. So I like that about Unite. And my last one is Teamfight Tactics. Teamfight Tactics has been my favorite free-to-play game, and I will say legitimately free-to-play. The cosmetics in the game aren't even really appealing to me, and if you are an Amazon Prime user and you have Prime Gaming for Twitch, they give you big chunks of RP that you can use to purchase the Battle Pass for TFT and use gems to unlock and upgrade like literally one of the only cosmetics that's even in the game. I've never spent a dime on TFT. And I have a couple of cosmetics that look really cool, and I've been consistently a diamond player in it every season since season 2. So love that game. It's another one that comes in seasons for me, but TFT is my number 1.
Okay. I'm going to go 5-1 right now, and then we're going to catch up with chat. Real quick, number 5 for me, Path of Exile. I'm a Diablo 3 nut, and Path of Exile is one of those games with just all the circles and all the grids and all the upgrades, and it's just infinitely replayable, and they give you so much freaking content before you even have to put a cent into it. It gets a little grindy, but those are the type of games that I can just click for days, have a TV show on this screen, or have, if I'm editing a video, I'll edit the video and then I'll hit render and then I'll go play some. It's awesome. My number 4 is this is technically only free to play up to level 60, and that's Final Fantasy 14. I love Final Fantasy.
Good choice.
Yes, it is. It's because it's amazing.
Forgot about that.
Number 3, this is a shout out to who did he go? Where did he go? Hillian in the chat. CK2, Crusader Kings 2. I love Crusader Kings. I love Paradox Games, and that game is free to play. It is dope. Everybody go play it. You can do amazing things. You can. It's just like one of the best role-playing type things ever. Number 2 is the Halo Infinite multiplayer. We already covered that. And number 1 is Destiny 2. Those are my top 5. We have a bunch in the chat that we can catch up on. But really, I want to focus in on Saint Bear telling me that RuneScape is better than all of those. I don't know if I can go down that path with you. I
played that in class during college. Okay.
Sweet.
Saint Bear knows I love him, and he knows I disagree on RuneScape.
Fantastic. Cool. Let's move on to kind of another topic today that we wanted to talk about, and you can see it in the bar below us. We wanted to talk about, well, I just totally missed all of my top 5 favorite games right there. I don't know why that wasn't muted there. We wanted to talk today a little bit about the video craze that is sweeping the nation, and that is Moon Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, Moon Knight is out on a Disney Plus streaming service everywhere, and it's gotten a lot of positive reviews and a lot of negative reviews. It's got a lot of interesting things going on with it, and so we kind of wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about it and let us know where we felt. Now, we need to give a couple of disclaimers first. Nav, you have only gotten to what, episode 3, 4?
Yeah, I've watched episode 3. I've seen the first 3 episodes. I've been to my week's just been crazy, and I've been trying to
Fair enough.
catch up.
Okay, but we're not going to give any spoilers. There are some spoilers here that we could give. There are some, obviously, it's like every Marvel thing. There's stuff that happens after credits. There's Easter eggs. The video that I have pulled up to our right is actually a bunch of Easter eggs that I just found that are kind of interesting. There's no spoilers in the video. You're not going to understand what's going on anyway. But it's kind of cool how deep they dive a little bit, and that's kind of the Marvel shtick anyway. Templar, I think we just need to get it out of the way, and I want you to deliver the atom bomb that you have about this show to us.
Well, I'll try to live up to that intro. I don't know if I have that.
It's like a wrestling intro.
I don't know if I have an atom bomb for it. I'm a little torn on this show. It's certainly nowhere near I'm nowhere near as negative on it as I was about the Halo show that we talked about last episode.
Sure.
So I have there's some negative things that I'll get into, but overall, it's a much, much better show than that. That's a low bar, but still it is. So positives, Oscar Isaac is great. He's a great actor. You don't have to have seen him in much, I think, to sort of recognize that. I think he does a great job of playing. I'll try to keep this largely spoiler-free, but in terms of basic premise of the show, I'm not considering that spoiler stuff. If you don't know,
I'm almost certainly going to spoil at least a good bit of stuff. So
fair enough. But the premise is that the character has dissociative identity disorder. So what used to be called split personalities, like multiple people essentially inhabiting one body, multiple personalities. And he plays the different characters, the 2 primary different characters well. I think there's a clear distinction. I think largely it's pretty seamless when they go back and forth in terms of his acting. Generally, the CG is well done. I like the visuals of most things in it, not everything. Later on, there's some sort of CG creatures that show up that I think don't look the best, but it's an interesting show. I think diving into Egyptian mythology is a cool choice because it's not something I know much about. I'm not, I know Anubis, I know Ra, I watch Stargate, so I watched Stargate SG-1, so I'm a little bit up on some of the Egyptian stuff, but I'm not that knowledgeable. So I think to get into more of the specifics of it is kind of cool. It's a mythology we don't really see. Obviously Norse, we've seen a decent amount in the recent decade. There's been a lot of content around Norse mythology. We've seen a decent amount of Greek over the years. So I think it's cool that they're diving into something a little different. Ethan Hawke is a good villain. I kind of wish he had a little bit more to do in the show, but I always like Ethan Hawke. I think he's great.
I mean, he walks all over the place. He's very consistently walking places all throughout the show.
And that dude,
he's great
that dude chews scenery anytime.
Every scene he's in.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like Andy Serkis. Like,
yes.
You put Andy Serkis in something and he's just going to chew the scenery.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
I just wish they had a little bit more for him to do in the show because there's not really a lot. He walks with a cane great, though. I'll give him that.
He's got glass in his shoes, man.
He's got the cane walk. He's got the cane walk down. Yeah. He rocks that cane.
Oh, it's just natural. It's just
nails it. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would have to say I enjoyed it. Like, I'll get into my negatives now, and I'll try to avoid being too long-winded. But it's fun. Oscar Isaac's great. So I mean, even if you watch it just for him, I mean, you can't really go too wrong with that. The cast overall is good. The CG's good. And the mythology, I think, is interesting, and it's not something I knew much about. So, positives, plenty of them. Negatives, I'm hoping Moon Knight's actually in season 2. That would be nice. Because, I mean, when you call a show Moon Knight, I expect
so good.
I expect the character to be in the show, but it's a creative choice, a creative decision, right? But I think it's a weird direction.
Little bacon switch.
The roast. Oh my!
I think it's a weird decision to not have him at all in season 1. That was just strange for me. I mean, seriously though, he's in about 15 minutes, maybe. The actual character of Moon Knight, like not the character that Oscar Isaac is playing, like outside of the costume. The actual like fully costumed Moon Knight as a superhero is in maybe 15 minutes of 6 hours, or roughly 6 hours of a season. I understand that they wanted to focus more on the character outside of the suit. That's fine. I get it. But I think it's not enough. I want to actually see the superhero. I think they went too hard on the whole somewhat of a gimmick of the sort of switching back and forth and the psychological investigation stuff instead of actually like showing me some good superhero action. There's just not that much in it. Like I needed more of that to really kind of be as engaged with the show. And, it's the other main character in it outside of Ethan Hawke, strong, independent woman who's in the show. She has more action scenes in it than Moon Knight really does.
Yeah.
And, that's fine. I guess they're setting up as like a Red Scarab spinoff. Because she becomes more of the central character of the show than he is. Yeah. Which, to me, again, if you want to set up a spinoff, that's fine. I don't care. But have Moon Knight actually be the focus of the show. I think it's strange that it really doesn't feel like he is. And it feels like they make her a far more competent character, both in terms of fighting and in terms of her, like, presence and her interaction and the decision making she has in the show than they make either of the characters making up this sort of split personality of Moon Knight. So it's just they seem to undermine him in his own show, which I don't like when they take that approach. And I understand Marvel has they want diversity, they want to have female superheroes. That's fine, again, no issue. But when you're undermining the character that the show is named after to set up a sequel for something else and you kind of shoehorn in certain political messaging, I think it's just strange to me. I think it does the character a major disservice. And I won't get into it more than that because I don't have an issue with her character overall. It's just her implementation in the show, I think, was a bit iffy to me. And then the final issue I have is I don't claim to be a psychological expert. I'm not a psychologist. I haven't studied it. So take all of this with a grain of salt. But I think they do a decent job of setting up that this condition that he has is a serious mental condition, a serious psychological condition. At least they seem to. But then towards the end of the show, there's some decisions made about his choices that essentially he chooses to keep the condition instead of being free from it, which I think is iffy messaging in terms of like a mainstream show to say that like we're going to roll with this gimmick and essentially present it more for comedic effect when this is actually a very serious mental health condition and we're going to play it for laughs. And then at the end, he's going to choose to keep this condition that is created due to trauma rather than to be able to actually heal and move past it because it's part of the character. So we're going to have him embrace this very, very serious condition and basically continue to play it for laughs rather than have the character actually move on and become integrated. And to me, that's the part that sort of stuck in my craw, I guess, the most of the whole show, was that right at the end, they just decide that it's better that the character has this very serious condition. I know I've repeated that a lot, but this isn't like, it's not a funny thing. Like, people who actually have this, it's a very serious condition that's, is devastating to people's lives and caused by very serious trauma. So I think the way they made that decision is very tone deaf to me. And I don't like that they went that route with it. I have some more complaints, but I'm kind of rambling and repeating myself at this point. So those are my overall thoughts. There's lots to like. There are some big issues as far as I'm concerned, but I'm curious to hear all of your thoughts on it.
There was a decent amount that happened in the chat, but before we get to that as well, Mark, I want to turn it to you because Nav, I have a question for you after Mark gets done as well. Mark, what were your thoughts on Moon Knight kind of responding to Templar, and honestly the idea that they weren't touching on mental illness and mental health as much as they could have been in an age and in a stage of our world right now that is so alive with mental health conversations?
Yeah, the first thing I have to say is that I love that at the end of the show, after we have lost Falcon and he's become Captain America, we get Egyptian Falcon at the very end of the show, which is literally just the same
thing.
Same exact moves.
Yep.
She literally blocks bullets in the exact same way that Falcon does it. At one point when he's getting rat-a-tat-tatted by somebody in Civil War. So I just think that's really interesting. When I watched it, I was like, oh, there's Egyptian Falcon, Egyptian girl Falcon. That's cool. I mean, I was gonna miss him, so I'm glad he's not going anywhere.
Nav just posted in the chat, spoilers are happening, FYI. So you might need to mute us for a little bit.
Literally,
I'll wave when we're done if you want to just keep the stream up and lurk.
So I think one of the interesting aspects of the show is it's sort of like a psycho thriller at the beginning of it. Like there's the first few episodes are like very tense, very psycho thriller until you begin to learn about the split personality disorder, right? Until you begin to learn that there are two people inside of one, and it's not, Khonshu coming in and taking him over directly, and you learn a little bit of the dynamic. They sort of like put in the creepy monsters at one point in the museum. Like, that's kind of cool and interesting. But then it opens up partway through the show, and when the secrets about what he's actually doing and what's actually happening, then you have this sort of sequence of episodes that are making light of it, right? Down to whenever the British version of himself turns to Moon Knight, even the costume that he has on is a clear joke and a poke at the character as a whole.
Yep.
And I didn't really think a tremendous amount about the mental health aspect of it as I was going on. It is interesting to me. I did not expect him. I thought there was going to be a healing aspect towards the end of the show, where like at the very end of the one from the last episode, when there's like this point in which his character, like you see like this, I don't want to spoil that, but you see this like Y in the road, right? And it's very interesting to me that they sort of leave you off thinking he takes one direction, and when you pick back up, you realize that's not exactly what's happening. Yep. And I think that is I get that, like, that's true to the character. Like, the character itself in the comics, they're kind of split between, a character that maybe isn't as kosher for today's world when it was written as Moon Knight then, and they're trying to stay true to the character, but also be maybe aware of current situation and what's going on in the world today. I don't know that they did that super, super well. I could have used more combat. honestly, some of my biggest gripes with the show, like I liked the show overall. It was kind of interesting. My wife is in the chat right now, and I think it's either one from the last episode or the one before that, where you're in the asylum and, you're sort of learning the backstory and the creation of, the Steven. And it's sort of in that scenario that honestly, it was a little bit triggering. Like there was some elements of that that were, it was triggering for us, and we were not abused as children, right? Like we had not suffered through anything like what was being depicted on screen. But it was kind of triggering. And I feel like it would have been good if you're going to depict trauma in the way that they depicted it, especially childhood trauma in the way that they depicted it. I think there needed to be some, like in today's age, you got to give some type of a disclaimer. Like, even if at the beginning of the show, like this episode is going to depict some things that may be triggering and difficult to watch. A lot of other shows will do that, especially if it's real. I mean, even Facebook does that. And so I think that Disney may have, they go from dealing with kind of like, psycho thriller. Oh, this is kind of fun. Oh, Egyptian gods, pyramids. Ooh. And then it's like, whoa, that's really dark.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Like that is super serious. And it is jarring. It's that element of the show is a bit jarring, I think. But other than that, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the lack of Moon Knight in Moon Knight. I was already used to that with Boba Fett. So, there's almost never a point where Boba Fett's in the end of Boba Fett. And I was just kind of like expected it at this point. My number one question, I walked out and I was like, where is this taking place?
Yep. Like
it was kind of like watching Marvel Eternals and like, okay, super powerful entity. Why is nobody from the Avengers here?
Yep.
Right. And I'm kind of asking the same question is like, are we going like with the introduction of multiverse stuff in Moon Knight season 2, do we find out that this is happening not in the MCU's main universe? Are we going to find out that this is in a parallel stuff? I haven't watched the new Doctor Strange movie yet, so I don't know how much they dig into that, but that was kind of my feeling. And I feel like there was a big miss with that because the last episode of Moon Knight came out the same day that Doctor Strange came out.
Yep.
And I was like, I hope that there's some weaving in so I could see how this character fits into the greater MCU, or is he like Deadpool? And he doesn't really. Like, am I never going to see him interact with the other characters that I've loved and I've watched and I've enjoyed? And how will he interact with that? Because he is really funny at certain parts and he's super cool in others. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts. My initial shots. Yeah.
Nav, now that everything has been spoiled for you, what do you think about the show so far?
I'm gonna go just based off what I did some research on Moon Knight before I watched the show because I'll be honest, I'd never heard of that Marvel character.
Okay, so you never read the comics or anything?
So I never read the comics.
The comics were never that good. Moon Knight comics were always kind of. I never liked the artists, and the actual stories got. It was blowing too much smoke up its own butt. And it just tried to be this sort of like, oh, we know everything about ancient Egyptian history and you don't. So we're going to introduce all these other characters. And meanwhile, like me as a 12-year-old is going like, I just want to see dudes get punched in the face. Like, give me an actual comic book.
Yeah. See, I grew up with X-Men. That was I watched the X-Men cartoon shows. I'm much more versed with the X-Men characters than Marvel characters. That was just my childhood growing up. And then Batman. That was it was Batman, Spider-Man, and X-Men characters. That's what it was. But anyway, for the show, I liked as like Templar said, it was like the whole Egyptian mythology. It's not something we really explored, especially in like a superhero genre. Some of the things that was interesting, like the guy that would weigh the hearts of people. With like he had the tattoo. Spoiler, sorry if you haven't seen. Okay, but the tattoos. It would weigh basically if that person was like good or evil and stuff. And that's actually very much an Egyptian thing that actually goes back. I'm going to get biblical here, but it talks about where Pharaoh's heart was hardened. That's actually an Egyptian term where the first 3 were basically Pharaoh when he hardened his heart. But God looked at Pharaoh's heart and saw that his heart was hardened. Basically, it was like God was weighing his heart. It was like actually using Egyptian terminology. Moses was when he was writing that. So that was like really cool. I was like, oh man, because the man is like, oh yeah, you talked about this in like small groups with their students and everything about, because we're going through the book of Exodus, and just like the whole way, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool and stuff. So I'll show God. So I like that. The mental disorder the main character has, I think that's very interesting in exploring it, how they're presenting it. And of course they're making a show because they want to make it entertaining and stuff like that. But you're also seeing the seriousness of this, and you're thinking like, how can someone live like this too? And then like, but also like what help can be for this person as well. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, well, what help? It's kind of made me more aware of people with that disorder too, which I think is a good thing. And then, but I like the premise of it. I like seeing the conflict between himself. And I think that's really very interesting. So I know you guys saying how it ends is not how like resolve, but resolve that in a sense he would not be this character. So I don't know what they would do going forward with him. But and then just the animations on it, I thought some of the animations were kind of wonky. I'm just gonna be honest, in the first 3 episodes of like,
it felt like it was made during the height of COVID and they couldn't get their regular animators into a studio. That's kind of it. Just it feels like they were doing and yet like there's a lot of that happening now. We're kind of seeing the lag, and like I felt that same thing watching. Even it was the alter Moon Knight. It was the Steven Knight or whatever we're calling him, but like. I looked at him in the tux suit thing, and I was like, "This is stupid. Like this looks plastic to me."
Yeah, because when I saw that, like the whole time, I'm like, "What in the world?" I'm like, "This is not Moon Knight."
Yeah.
Like this is like they're tricking me, and I'm like, I want to say, like, at least I saw Master Chief in his armor more than this by this point. Okay, like, and so,
for real though, and that is
no
saying
helmet.
a lot. That's saying
No
a
helmet
lot.
And so I'm like, at least I'm like, wow, I'm like, he had more helmet time than this guy in his suit. Okay, like I don't know, like anyway. So I was like thinking of that, but anyway,
cool.
But I mean, I'm enjoying the show. I like the narrative so far. I'm not that far in, so I can't give like depths about this character, about anything political or stuff. But like for so far, how they did the first 3 episodes, it sets it up where I'm like, I want to watch the next episode. And
cool.
I recommend it just from base what I've seen. And but yeah, I think it's interesting. It's definitely for mental disorder has definitely like I need to look into this more, read about it and stuff. And so I think that was cool.
Yeah,
that the show did that.
Yeah. I don't have really anything other to add other than COVID really did a whole lot of really bad things to the production industry, and we're seeing it catch up now. And I feel like the Halo show, I feel like even WandaVision to a certain extent. I feel like there's been a number of things sprinkled in all throughout some of the more marquee franchises that we would know and marquee universes that we know. And you could definitely see them diverting resources to things like Spider-Man, to things like the Doctor Stranges, to things that are the larger production, the larger money makers. And I feel like, the intentions are good. The intentions of everything that's happening with the MCU, you got to fill in the cracks, and the intentions that are happening all over the place are pretty plain to see. And yet some of the follow-up is just not happening. Somebody in the chat mentioned WandaVision, and it's the same sort of thing. Like, it was good, but like, I don't know that I'm going to even go back and watch it. Like, I can barely remember anything that happened in that entire series.
I love WandaVision.
It's fine. It's fine. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just I can barely remember it. And maybe that says more about me than the actual show. So you can flame me later.
Yeah, Doc asked about WandaVision in comparison.
That's what it was.
But I have no interest. I never watched it. That's an interesting point you made, though, about the resources and everything during COVID. I hadn't considered that. But something I actually initially liked about the show and then over time started to dislike was the whole camera shake, switch ahead in time, and then like all of a sudden like Steven's like back and he's holding a knife and like there's a bunch of people dead around him or whatever. Like as they show the sort of his perspective of switching back and forth in terms of control. I initially liked that, and I wonder if they made that decision because
they couldn't film fight scenes.
If they weren't able to just film the extra fight scenes, or if it was just an artistic decision, because initially I thought it was kind of neat, but then as I got through the whole show and there's so little action in the show, I started to sort of get upset about that I'm like, you're skipping these opportunities where you could have shown some really cool action scenes, and the show desperately, in my opinion, desperately needed a bit more action, but you're skipping that for this effect, which is kind of cool, but I mean, I think doesn't really deliver quite as much. So, but that's an interesting point. I hadn't considered the sort of background issues that were going on while the show was being developed.
Yeah, I was actually listening to an interview with Judd Apatow, and they had a number of like well-known actors that were supposed to film a movie, and then everything in Hollywood got locked down. And Judd and his writing partner, and like Judd Apatow is quite funny, but he's also kind of a genius when it comes to some of this stuff. And he said, okay, cool, we're going to make the best of this. And so he rented out a hotel and everybody did all their COVID testing and all the protocols and all that other stuff, and then got okays from all the health officials. They rented out a couple floors of a hotel, and then they made a movie about actors that were locked in a hotel who had nothing to do except make a movie about a dinosaur. And so it's like this meta thing. And that's really when I started thinking like, oh yeah, COVID is really screwed up. We're going to see that. We're seeing it in games right now. Like Breath of the Wild has been delayed yet again. It keeps getting pushed back. Lot of stuff. Yeah. Starfield's never coming out.
That was going to be delayed regardless. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're not
Nothing.
getting that game.
No,
Yeah,
that game is
no,
that game is
Bethesda-
now that Microsoft has
No.
it, it's just going away into the basement.
They got 3 more Skyrim releases to do. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you do get that game, it will not work. So just be aware.
No, it'll be another 5 years before it's patched to the point of being.
I don't know.
playable.
We'll see when it comes out. We'll have this discussion.
It took them 7 years to get Elder Scrolls Online to be a playable MMO. So
No, Bethesda gets no benefit of the doubt anymore.
No, and sometimes they don't need it right now. Let's move on to another topic before we end. I know we're running along a little bit long today, and thanks everyone in the chat for hanging with us. We're a bunch of blowhards, and we like to just talk to each other for a little bit. But we want to bring in a topic that is kind of a viewpoint topic, how we as Christians in the world should do things, are doing things, should look at things, are failing in, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that we kind of had on our topics list was this idea of the online lifestyle that we are all associated with. You know, we're here on Twitch, we're hanging out, we are, for lack of a better term, most of us are digital natives. We all kind of grew up with the internet. We know how to do it. We are gaming fans. Some of us kind of border on the edge of gaming addiction. Some of us are kind of recovering from addiction. You know, there's a lot of depression and anxiety and all this. And a lot of times what we hear and what we see is that our online life is kind of unhealthy or can lead us into unhealth, dishealth, bad malhealth. What would be the term here? Dishealth?
lack of health.
There we go. I'm just throwing prefixes on things. And so we kind of wanted to chat just for a little bit about our online lifestyles and like, when does that become unhealthy? What is the line that we have to draw, that we have to form? And I kind of want to just open this up, and feel free to take the floor, take the mic over. But when does our gaming lifestyle or our online lifestyle actually become unhealthy?
I'll jump in, if you don't mind, if that's okay. When you go to bed thinking about the game and you wake up and your first thought is that game. I'm just saying, I'm going to be, in my experience, that's where I've known where like, I need to reevaluate. That's to me, that's the first sign. It's like, you know, if I'm going to bed thinking like, you know, that's happened before, and I've just had to stop. Like, okay, I'm playing this, and then lunch breaks at work, you're playing it. Any free time, you know, it's like just like whatever you're thinking about it, and just it consumes you basically. I know that's simple, but the biggest thing for me is like if I go to bed thinking about it, and then I wake up and that's the first thing, I'm like, that's my first clue.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. That's my first guardrail too. Like my first red flag is if I lay down at night and I can't sleep because I'm thinking about strategies or ideas. And if I wake up in the morning and when I get in the shower, I realize, because I have no idea, like the grogginess from bed to shower, it's like the first thing I do in the morning, right? I don't know what I'm thinking about. But if I realize partway through the shower that I've just been strategizing about the game and how I'm going to get back to it, that's a red flag for me as well. And then beyond that, so I've never had a really strong online lifestyle until the last year. And so some things have come out of that I didn't recognize or realize at first. But one of the things is I struggle in small talk and conversation in person more now than what I did a year ago. So I'm actually better at engaging in conversation and asking people questions if they're across the screen from me right now than I am at just in my day-to-day life. I bump into somebody. And I think some of that is because I'm just so used to every day of my life right now. This is what I'm doing. I'm sitting in a studio and I'm having conversation with people on a microphone through a camera. And so it's just very natural for me to do that. The other thing I've noticed is like, if I'm drawn to a screen, to Discord, to a game, when I have things around me that are engaging, but I'm not engaging. So when I'm with my kids, when I'm at a family function, like when I'm hanging out with friends, like those things are telling me, okay, like the world that's online has in screens have sucked away a little too much of who I am, because I'm now, I have the option to engage, and I'm in a position where I should be engaging with. I remember this last year, we went to a New Year's Eve party at a friend's house, and I talked to my wife about this afterwards, and she knows I felt convicted about it. But I just sat there and I played a game of TFT on my phone because we like got there and we were the first ones there, but I felt a little bit awkward. And so I like sat on my phone on the couch, and I was there for like an hour playing TFT or something at a party. And it was like, okay, yeah, this probably isn't healthy. Like, this is probably like, there's some element of me where I'm not really engaging with the surroundings that are there. And so in some way, sure, some form or another, like the online world and my online lifestyle has begun to eclipse what's healthy and good and profitable and life-giving for me in my, my physical life, my IRL life. So I've been trying to curb some of that. I mean, I think there's some tools that you can use too, which we can maybe talk about briefly, but that's hard. I think that's where I'm at.
Templar, what do you got?
I'm not sure. I mean, to me, it's a problem when your responsibilities are a break from your online interaction or from gaming, rather than gaming or your online time being a break from your responsibilities.
That's
good. When because it's not even so much like when you use it purely as an escape, but you go to it so much. Like, I don't believe that there's a problem. You work hard, you get your things done, you do what you got to do, and then you jump on a game and just try to relax for a bit. I think that's a positive thing. I think it's just like anything else you could potentially do to try to unwind. But when you're just putting off everything and you're causing a detriment to your own success in life or your own achievement of what you could be doing or what maybe you have the gifts to accomplish, and you're actively avoiding it through your online interaction or your gaming time, I think it's a significant problem. And I think it undermines our ability to achieve what we could potentially achieve.
So, excuse me, just coughed into the microphone there. That's a $5 fine. If we need to get a fine bucket. I don't know, Mark, you kind of mentioned some tools there that might help us stray back, but what are the red flags that we can then point out, not necessarily in ourselves, but in others? Like, what is kind of the classic examples you've seen of this?
I think maybe one of the best examples I've ever seen was in EverQuest 1. I was in high school. I had two buddies that played EQ1, and they both had to go to the magistrate that year because of how many days of school they skipped to raid. And it was like, solid. Maybe that's extreme, but it was like when your life begins, when you begin orienting all of your life around that in a certain way, and each aspect of your life can be sacrificed. I realized it when I was showing up late to everything when I was playing World of Warcraft. I never showed up on time to anything because it was always getting one more quest done. And I was like, this is out of hand. Like, I'm late to church. I'm late to youth ministry. I'm late to work. I'm literally, I was late to everything because I was always, killing 10 more wolves in the woods and then turning in the quest.
They deserve to die, man.
They did, and I could have killed them when I got back, but I didn't. I killed them before I went. And so I remember, this is neither here nor there, but I remember one time I was playing WoW and I was late to church and I was driving really fast with my Pontiac Sunfire and had my window down with my hand out the window. I was driving too fast. When I came around a bend, I ran over with my front left-hand tire a dead groundhog, and when I hit it, it popped and it burst and it sprayed rotted groundhog all over my hand. That was a lesson about don't play World of Warcraft and show up late to something.
That was your burning bush moment.
Yeah, I remember it was like, I wonder how this smells. And I smelled my hand and it was not good. I gagged in my car. Yeah, so that has nothing to do with the conversation. But I think that identifying things in people's lives where their online lifestyle is just getting out of hand is like, okay, like, are you able to engage in real life? Are you orienting your entire life around games or around these online things? Are you like taking games to the point where like you're fulfilling yourself at the detriment of other people, right? It's one thing to do something like this and have a conversation and build relationships and things. It's very different to spend all day flaming people in League of Legends, because there's just some that are healthy for you on online engagement, and there's some engagement online that's just really unhealthy for you. And when those unhealthy tendencies begin dominating your time in your life, it doesn't just hurt you. It destroys so many aspects of your life, including your productivity, working towards the things in life that not the gaming is unimportant or doesn't matter, but to the things that are really important, the things that are eternal, and the relationships that you have. When those things all start to suffer because of the amount of time you're given to that, it's just, those are good signs, red flags, I think, for people.
I used to mask my gaming habit, especially when I first got married. One of my favorite pastimes, there's another $5 fine. One of my favorite things that I would do is I would play games with the kids, but they would sit on the couch and watch me play, not because I'm like a terrible dad, I might be, but because they were genuinely interested in like watching me play these single player games. And so we played all of Horizon. Like me and my kids just played all of Horizon. They made choices, and they were telling me where to go and stuff. It was rad. We played No Man's Sky. Like when No Man's Sky came out, I bought a PS2 or a PS4 just for that game because I was an Xbox nerd before that, and I bought a PS4 just so I could play No Man's Sky with my kids, and they could tell me like, "Hey, go build this," or "Hey, go do this." Like that type of stuff's awesome. But the problem is then I'm like subtly like telling the kids, "Hey, maybe you should go to bed. Maybe bedtime is like 15 minutes early so that Andy can come out and sit on the couch and not engage with you a little bit more." And that's when I kind of had a conversation with my wife, like, "Hey, maybe I need your help here. Maybe I need your help just dialing this back a little bit." And she helped, and it's fine. And the kids are old enough that we play Fortnite together on all of our consoles now, which that's great. But there's that line that you hope and pray that all of us feels, or all of us can actually spot. It's when we can't spot it that becomes super, super unhealthy. And so, Mark, I guess you mentioned a few tools. I'd love to hear about those. I'd love to hear what your heart is feeling there.
Yeah, I think some of it is just intentionally curating what you can consume and what you can't consume. And so things like leaving your phone off at night. By the way, we do have a $5 tip jar. It's called gifting subs to the channel, Chino. So that's no, you don't have to. I'm just messing with you. And I think a lot of it is just you got to curate your notifications, like curate what you get notified for. Be really careful about that. Like be careful about, yeah. Oh my gosh, he's gifting subs, rolling into the gift. So like, for me, like I have my phone, but I keep a limited amount of stuff on it. I keep a limited amount of games on it. The Bible app and Discord's on there because that's, my job and that's what I do. But I don't keep email on my phone because I don't want people to get access to me that easily. I don't keep Twitch on my phone because I don't want that quick and easy access to Twitch. There's other reasons why through my addiction issues that I've curated some of that. But I think it is important for people to create tools around them that says, okay, I don't go to bed with my phone next to me, or I don't game past X hour, or even limiting the amount of time that you're spending in those environments, and then being intentional. Not I think everyone gets ticked off because they're like, well, no, none of my friends invite me places. Well, every phone works both ways.
Yep.
So like, make friends. Like, I know it sucks. I know it's hard sometimes. But relationship and community take work. And oftentimes people escape to online worlds because they just have not taken time to cultivate healthy community in their life around them. And those things take energy, they take time, they take work, they take sacrifice, but they're worth it. I think we go to high school and we're surrounded by it. We go to college and it's created for us. And then we graduate college and nobody is creating connection for you. And so you fall into online worlds that occupy all of your time and do not make new connections. And then, we wonder, why for me, sometimes you look at people who are older than you, like, you don't have any friends. Like, well, we're well on the trajectory for that as well. If we're not careful, because, relationships and community take time and sacrifice.
Nav, you're getting blown up by Bougie in the chat because you left him hanging in Triangle Strategy. So good job.
Oh, yes. My brother still has that game. I asked him about it.
Oh, my brother. Is that my dog ate my homework? Is that what that is?
No, actually, it's not. It's my legit brother. He's like, hey, he's like, can I borrow this? I'm like, sure. I'm like, because he plays games. I figured within like a week or so, he'll have that beat. That's how he is. And he's like a month later. I'm like,
speaking of unhealthy addictions, he's going to beat Triangle Strategy in a week? My goodness.
And so, I give him 2 weeks. It depends on what he does, because I know it's like a 40-hour game. But it's like, yeah. Bougie, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Beyond what Mark said, I think one aspect that I feel like is important for that is just self-reflection. Because, I mean, you turn to gaming or you turn to these addictions for a reason, right? Like, the addiction... To me, addiction isn't the root of your problem. Like, addiction is at least a symptom of a problem.
Yeah.
And you could have an addictive personality. I do. I understand things like that, but it often points, I think, to something else. And I think it's beneficial to take the time to reflect on the reasons why you're doing that. Like, what are you trying to get away from? Why are you trying to get away from it? Why are you turning to other things? What is it you should be doing? And you might not have a clear, specific vision about what you should be doing. Like, but what are you trying to avoid doing? And why? I think spending significant time reflecting on that type of thing is beneficial. Yeah, Nav, go ahead.
No, that's really good, because I was thinking of this, something when I was younger. I worked at a Christian camp, and we were going through counseling sessions. It was like a week of intense counseling sessions, and it was for like minor stuff. There was major things. There was like counselors on campus that we refer them to, like, certain situations, certain things that we weren't equipped for. But like you said about it like basically goes into kind of like we use a diagram of a tree, and whatever the tree was producing, the fruit, has to do with the root system, and it goes to your belief system and about what you believe about you, others, and about God. And when that right there, what you believe about you, what you want, what you're to satisfy you, will produce certain things. What you believe about others will produce certain things. What you believe about God will produce certain things. And there was a saying, you do what you do because you say what you say, because you think what you think, and what you think is what you believe about you, yourself. You, others, and God. And so it all kind of manifests itself, because it starts in the mind first, and then you'll start, thinking it, start saying it, and then eventually you'll start doing it. And it all comes out there. And it's like, it's a process. But it's like I said, it's about what you believe about yourself, what you believe about others, and what you believe about God. And those things right there, like the trifecta, will produce certain things. And so with like addictions and everything, whether it's with video games, whatever, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending so much time with this game? Why am I constantly there? Is it because I'm just trying to escape from this because of this other person so I can avoid it? Is it this because I have this trauma or pain in my life, so I'm just trying to avoid it and this is what I believe about myself. Or it's like, something, I'm ticked off at God, so I'm just going to do my own thing. And so it's like it all kind of goes back to a belief system about those three.
Yeah.
And so when you said that, I just kind of like, oh yeah, I was like, I had that written in my notes to bring that up today, but that was like perfect what you said, Templars, just to kind of go into. It goes back to very much a mental thing about a belief system.
Yeah, there's an idolatry aspect to it too, that we as Christian people that have been Christians for a while are always going to point to, and people that are outside of the faith are just going to go like, you guys are being idiots. What are you talking about? Idolatry. And idolatry needs to be defined in ways that culture can actually understand. And one of those things is anything that is stealing your time, or anything that you are effectively worshiping. And if you are worshiping the god of Azeroth, or you're worshiping the god of X, Y, and Z, then technically that's idolatry. And I hate it. I used to hate it when preachers would stand up there and just yell about idolatry, 10 or 15 years ago, until I started examining my own life and going, oh yeah, this is the way I'm treating this video. The way I'm treating Final Fantasy XI was extremely unhealthy. I was poop socking all weekend for that game. And the way I was treating World of Warcraft, same thing. And I think there's an interesting avenue that we as Lux can step into, where we can actually help people kind of identify and not necessarily exacerbate the trigger points, but like pull people back and just say like, hey, you can have a healthy relationship with this. For some people, they can't have healthy relationships with anything, and that's fine. Like we need to be able to, help people kind of start taking that step. But I think there is a definite line that we can show people of, hey, there's a God above all that needs to sit on the throne first, and then like let all the other decisions fall where they need to fall around that. And so I think that's a gigantic task for us as the church and for us as believers, and it's one that I'm like super pumped about and super passionate about. Cool. We have been talking for a very, very, very long time. Everybody in the chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you are listening to this on podcast or on demand, thanks as always. If we don't mind, can we put the Discord link into the chat as well? If you guys have any other questions, if there's anybody visiting right now that wants to pop into the Discord and be part of this family that we are online, we would love to have you. We'd love to be able to talk through some of these things, some of the unhealthy things. We'd love to have you yell at us about Breath of the Wild a little bit more, and tell us why Super Auto Pets is either the best game in the world or the worst game in the world. I will vehemently disagree with anybody that says it's the worst game in the world. Perhaps I have an unhealthy relationship with Super Auto Pets. What do you think?
It's certainly an abusive one.
Yeah, that's true, regardless of your feelings of the game.
Oh, goodness. I appreciate that.
And with that, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. We will see everybody next time. Love you guys. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.